Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up, man. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to kill him.
He's the one that's tied to the dude that makes the loaded dice. Right? Check the play out. All entertainers, when you go to Houston, stay away from J. Prince Jr. The whole play going on. Here go the play right here. The play is a loaded dice.
Bloodstained dice slid across that velvet table like it was nothing. Everyone smiling, pretending it was all love. But only one man was never leaving that room. Duke the Jeweler didn't go out broke. He went out surrounded, not by friends, but by wolves in disguise.
Man, Lord.
You supposed to be mad.
Man, about to drop it. Oh, you mad? Oh, yeah.
That nigga gonna have $1,000 on here.
And now there's blood on Mob Ties' hands and the feds are circling like vultures. Let's get one thing straight. Duke wasn't robbed, he was executed. And it didn't happen in some back alley by masked nobodies. It went down right after he dipped from Boosie's dice game, with dudes who were dapping him up like brothers, then turning cold real quick.
Went through a hard time but never gave up. I stayed tough, even when I got my chain stuck. Go through hard time, but we know that what made us. Can't blame us, we love the script, but that what paid us. Yeah, ain't gonna ask, I know them niggas laid off. I call King, I get the passion, going where I'm on. I can't even find, know how many nights I done stayed up. Know how many fucking...
The same crowd is now caught in the federal spotlight, and 50 Cent? He's turning up the heat by reposting all the receipts and dropping hints like a man who knows what's really up.
He was walking to his car or something, and some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. See, some dudes had tried to rob me, had walked off by himself, but I had just met dude yesterday. A bit just try to rob dude, man. Dude must ain't get up.
Approach with flight Jack. We're number 2 for departure. Flight attendants, please bear the captain.
Just met dude.
What takes this from grimy to movie-level drama? Just 2 weeks before takeoff got taken out at another dice game gone left, Duke was shutting it down at a J. Prince Jr. event too. That ain't coincidence. That's a pattern.
We was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in the garage. We heard this, but it like they was far away in the parking lot. He must have went to his car or something, but dude was finna make a piece for him too. Dang.
And it all comes back to one cold truth. When the wrong man starts winning at the table, snakes show their fangs. Now the whole Mob Tie circle is under the microscope. Boosie, J. Prince Jr., Lil Cam, every last one of them.
Entertainer invites him in. Act like you covering for him, hanging out, everything is cool. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go there. He introduces the dice game. He got 3 right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators, right? He said, what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice are the three designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they pass the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting.
What started as whispers in the streets is turning into full-blown war. But how the hell did it get this deep? Let's pull back the curtain, because what looked like a casual dice game might have been a setup from jump. From the outside, Duke looked like he had it all. Straight out of Chicago, self-made, built his jewelry empire from the ground up. But even diamonds can't protect you when the room turns deadly.
I was a jeweler. I gotta do my research, see what jeweler might have been down there shooting dice. But nevertheless, to all the entertainers, you know, Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows, right? I don't know if y'all watched that. I'm thinking about Daisy Dukes for a reason. I don't know why I said that. You know, one might go with it, may not go with it, but I don't know. If the math is math, and let it math. But entertainers, beware. Oh, with Jay Prince Jr., when he talked about let's go shoot some dice. Because the loaded dice crew is three, Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice. We know Lil Cam in there because I believe somehow, some way, he was caught up in the dice situation. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know this, Jay Prince Jr. got a whole thing that when y'all come into town, hold on, bro. Didn't they say Fifth Ward earlier that day shooting dice?
Yep, that's a fact. That word been out, Wet. That word been out. We been had that memo.
And then, so I've been getting hit all day, and it got to the point that the thing, they were like, that it's a dice. That's what this nigga Jay Prince Jr., boy, these niggas got all kind of shit going on down there. They say, he said the jeweler nigga got past the dice. He didn't even know the motherfuckers was loaded. He just think he hit. These niggas is mad as a motherfucker. Cause they like, nigga, how you pass this nigga the loaded dice? Hold up.
Duke wasn't just out here slinging flashy chains to random SoundCloud rappers. Nah, he was deep in the game, crafting high-end custom pieces for real stars, real money, and real power. His name was buzzing in the industry heavy. And he didn't pull up to Houston for kicks. He was chasing a serious bag. Word is, Boosie personally invited him to talk business about a custom piece. So Duke packed up his $1 million Louis duffel loaded with heat, his best work, ready to make a major play. But what Duke didn't realize, that trip was about to become his last move ever. Now let's zoom in on that dice game that changed everything. Leaked audio from Whack 100, yeah, straight from the streets, claims this wasn't no harmless dice match. This was an alleged setup. According to what's being said, Jay Prince Jr. runs what's now being called a loaded dice ring, and it's always the same three faces running the show: Lil Cam, Big Capri, and Wolf. Those three rotate the dice like they're in some twisted ritual, passing them around to keep the rig going. The house always wins, unless someone messes up. And that night, somebody slipped. Wax says Duke somehow got past the fakes. They handed him dice not meant for him. And guess what? They were loaded for him to lose, but he flipped the script. Duke started hitting back-to-back, hundreds, then racks, then tens of thousands stacking fast. And when somebody breaks a rigged system wide open like that, the people pulling the strings start panicking. Let's break it down. Money was on the line. Insiders say Jay Prince Jr. allegedly pockets 30% of every single Dice Night Haul. So when Duke started cleaning house, that wasn't just him catching a hot streak. That was messing with serious money. And Duke wasn't quiet about it either. His energy that night, loud, confident. He was shining hard in diamonds, throwing stacks like it was pocket change, and recording everything for the gram. But then things got weird. Real weird. If you freeze that dice game footage at just the right moment, something subtle goes down. You see Boosie whistle, low-key, soft. But instantly, his nephew turns and locks eyes with Duke. Then boom, a man in a red hoodie taps the nephew's arm like a quiet signal. That's when the whole room changes. The vibe flips like a switch. 1 second, Duke's cracking jokes and rolling dice. The next, you can feel the countdown starting. And just minutes later, Duke's gone. Not from some accident. Gone like it was all scripted. This kind of tension, You can't fake that. It's not paranoia. It's the type of body language you only catch when you're walking into a room full of folks who already made their decision. And the worst part? Duke never saw it coming. Still not convinced this wasn't just a bad night at the table? Then ask yourself, why would a millionaire like Boosie invite a guest flashing over $1 million in custom jewelry to a dice game full of people he doesn't fully trust, without any security? And why didn't J. Prince Jr., a man known to run heavy in Houston, have protection in place for an out-of-towner carrying that kind of heat? Let's rewind to the exact moment Duke dipped from that dice game. No security, no entourage, no driver, just Duke, walking alone through a dark Houston parking lot after being around millions in cash and ice all night. Sounds sketchy? That's because it is, but what happens next takes it from suspicious to straight up sinister. Minutes later, gunshots. Duke gets ambushed and shot dead. But here's the part that makes it all reek of something deeper than a robbery gone wrong. Nothing was taken. Jewelry untouched. Cash untouched. Duke was found still wearing every single piece of his high-value ice. The same 7-figure jewelry he rocked on stage with Boosie at the concert right before he was killed. Who does that? What kind of robbery leaves behind millions in jewelry? And then comes the mic drop, the Louis Vuitton bag. You know, the one Duke brought with him? The one packed with his rare, unreleased custom pieces? That bag didn't just disappear, it popped up inside Boosie's own house. Yeah, let that sink in. Houston PD confirmed it. Now, maybe Duke handed that bag over during the game for safekeeping, or maybe Boosie ended up with it after Duke was already gone. Either way, one thing's crystal clear. The bag made it home, Duke didn't. And when folks started asking questions, Boosie jumped on Instagram Live from a plane, voice shaky, claiming he barely even knew Duke, and that Duke just walked off. Didn't Boosie say Duke was supposed to make him a custom chain? So how you barely knew him, but you invited him to a private dice game? Let him walk off alone, flashing $1 million in jewelry? None of that makes sense. Something's way off. And when Boosie tried to explain it away, he looked shook, not like an innocent man. Pale, uneasy, and sweating through his words. But it gets even messier. The feds had already been watching Boosie for unrelated legal drama, but after Duke's murder, they carved out a separate federal investigation just for this. That means no waiting, no lumping it with old charges. This case is front and center, and the feds are going full throttle. First thing they did, ran Duke's phone, and guess what? His last phone ping came from Boosie's recording studio. So unless Duke's phone grew legs and walked there on its own, somebody from Boosie's circle took it there, and they weren't even slick about it. They didn't wipe it, didn't break it, just turned it off manually, cold. That's the kind of move that gets federal agents fired up. Then they checked Duke's rental car, and boom, they hit again. Forensics pulled prints from Boosie's nephew and cousin inside that vehicle. Now, why would they be in Duke's rental? What business did they have there? And just when it feels like this thing couldn't twist any further, boom, a witness steps forward. Said they were outside just smoking, minding their business, and saw Duke walking alone toward his car that night. Everything seemed cool until Boosie's nephew stepped out the shadows like he'd been waiting. That's when things flipped. Duke must have felt the shift, allegedly swung first, tried to defend himself. He fought back hard. But it was already too late. One slick move, and Boosie's nephew allegedly pulled the trigger. No robbery, no mess, just one clear goal: take him out. And get this, they didn't even bother to fake a robbery scene. Why? Because it wasn't about money, it was about silencing someone. And they didn't ditch the bag either. They kept it. That ain't sloppy, that's bold. That's arrogance on full display. And you know who's been peeping the whole thing? 50 Cent. Have you ever noticed how anytime artists pull up to Houston, there's always that same quiet warning? Make sure you check in. It's not on paper, it's not in the rule book, but it's real as it gets. Rappers, influencers, even ball players, they all get the memo. If you roll through H-Town without checking in with J. Prince Jr. and mob ties, you're asking for trouble. But here's the scary part. Nobody likes to say out loud, what happens when the very people you're supposed to check in with are the ones setting you up? Let's not forget, J. Prince Jr. was the host of the dice game Duke went to, same dude who hosted the dice game where Takeoff lost his life. So now it's fair to ask if J. Prince Jr. really runs Houston like he says he does. Then why are 2 men dead after checking in on his watch? Even Whack 100 couldn't bite his tongue on this one. He straight up called it a scam ring, saying J. Prince Jr. has a whole routine, inviting entertainers, acting like it's all love, playing the bro card, and then leading them right into a loaded dice game where his own crew's already set up around the table. It's not a game, it's a trap. Now the streets are talking and things are shifting, quietly but definitely. Some artists have already started distancing themselves. Labels are reportedly pulling out of Houston-based events. The whole scene is starting to look radioactive. Even 50 Cent has been subtly turning up the heat, reposting clips, dropping captions that ain't even trying to be subtle, and calling out the whole shady game. Some folks say 50's dancing with danger. Others think he's just the only one bold enough to say what everybody else is too scared to admit. Meanwhile, Boosie? Sources say he's in panic mode. The feds aren't lumping this in with his old gun charges. They've split off Duke's case as a separate federal investigation, and now they're digging deep into his homes, his money moves, even his son's online activity. But here's where it gets really wild. Allegedly, Boosie's own girlfriend spilled some tea, told someone that the night Duke died, Boosie ran back inside the house looking nervous, like he was trying to hide something. Yet he's still out here acting like he doesn't know anything. And that's all he keeps telling people. Now, the big question floating through the industry, if Boosie falls, who else is he taking down with him? Because let's be real, Boosie never moved solo. His nephew's involved, his cousin's involved, and now his name is tangled all up with J. Prince Jr., who's already been under fire ever since Takeoff's tragic death. The lines are starting to blur, and everything's pointing back to one table. And just when you think it can't get more chaotic, boom, Finesse 2 Times enters the mix. This is the same artist Mob Ties used to back heavy. He used to shout out J. Prince Jr. in every other interview. Now, he can barely say the man's name. Something shifted, and the fallout is loud, even if nobody's talking straight yet. At first, it looked quiet. Finesse just stopped popping up around Junior. No more concerts, no backstage hangs, no studio appearances. Then the whispers started, and apparently, it all came down to a woman. But not just any woman, Finesse's baby mama. Word is she and her mother allegedly set him up, called the cops, got him locked up for a probation violation. And guess who swooped in to save him? J. Prince Sr. himself. Made a few powerful calls behind the scenes, and just like that, Finesse was back out in under 2 weeks. You'd think he'd be grateful, right? Wrong! Instead of cutting ties with the girl who lined him up, Finesse ran right back to her. That was the final straw. Senior wasn't having it. He hit Twitter and said what he really felt. No cryptic shade, just raw truth. He said it with his whole chest. See, I told the homie to stay the F away from that woman if he valued his life, J. Prince Sr. said, loud and clear. But he ain't listen, even after I had to step in and get him out of prison. That wasn't just advice, that was a warning, he continued. Y'all better be real careful thinking these women got your best interest at heart. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, boom, the streets started whispering something wild. Rumors started swirling that J. Prince Jr. might have gotten Finesse's girl pregnant behind his back. Now, is it confirmed? Nah. But the fact that folks believe it and Finesse hasn't denied it, that silence is loud. Real loud. Some fans tried to brush it off as gossip, but others, they started seeing a pattern. Because it's not just Finesse. Look at the track record. J. Prince Jr. has tension with Takeoff's family, quiet beef with Boosie, and now Finesse is spiraling out in public. It's like every connection is crumbling. And now people are asking the real question, how many bridges can you burn before the whole empire falls apart? Because here's the thing, when your name is built on fear, silence, and power moves, all it takes is one person to flip, one artist, one friend, one witness, and the whole machine crashes down like a house of cards. So now the streets are asking, who's gonna crack first? Will it be Boosie, finally breaking his silence? Will Finesse 2 Times come clean and spill what really went down? Or will 50 Cent, with his non-stop mission to expose mob ties, push J. Prince Jr. to do the unthinkable, break the code and flip to save himself? One thing's for sure, the collapse has already started, and those quiet whispers, they're turning into federal hard knocks. Behind the scenes, agents are moving strategic. They're not just investigating Boosie, they're surveilling his every move. His Baton Rouge mansion, under review. That Georgia land, being checked. They're tracing every dollar tied to his name. This ain't just heat, it's a full-blown fire. And don't get it twisted, this goes beyond Boosie. J. Prince Jr. is in the crosshairs too. Artists are backing away, labels are canceling calls. Nobody wants their name linked to what's starting to look like Rico energy. And the biggest bombshell? Word is, Duke's killer might have been caught on tape. Yeah, video footage. All it takes is one person to leak that clip, whether it's to TMZ or the feds, and once it hits the light, it's game over. If you've been locked in with this wild story, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Who do you think is going to speak first? And don't forget to share this with someone who's been watching this madness unfold. And this ain't over. See you on the next one.